Hey guys, what's up? We are back with another video today, and today we are doing a Duke college football prediction. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Help me reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of May. We're closing in on it, about 50 away. Also, make sure that you like this video down below if you enjoy it. Comment all your thoughts and opinions as well. Make sure you let me know what your thoughts are on Duke's record, what you think they will do this year after a really good season last year. Where do you think Mike Elko will take this team? Also, make sure that you check out all of the podcasts, the website, and the Patreon page down below if you are interested in supporting the channel. And that's going to wrap it up for the introduction. Let's go ahead and make our way to the schedule. So as we get into this, Duke has an interesting kind of schedule this year. They start off the year against Clemson, and then they head to Lafayette, Northwestern, at UConn. So the first couple of weeks is a really interesting stretch, to be completely honest with you. But we're going to start off with the Labor Day matchup against the Clemson Tigers in Durham, North Carolina. Should be a really interesting matchup. For starters here, you have a team in Clemson that is going to have a new offensive coordinator. The defense has a lot of changing parts. You have a newish quarterback. Cade Klubnik was there last year and started a couple of games in the ACC championship and then the bowl game against Tennessee, but still newish quarterback. And here's the thing. Duke has a lot of pieces. Their defense should be good. Their secondary with the transfers coming in from Miami and Texas A&M, their defensive, especially their secondary, should be good. So it's going to come down to one thing. How good is Will Shipley, and can Will Shipley win this game, or can Riley Leonard win this game? Excuse me. And I think that what this game comes down to is that Riley Leonard, I think, is going to be good enough in order to win this game. I think that Duke wins this game. Like, I get that Mike Elko and all of this, it's going to be a tough game to win, but I think that overall, Duke has the pieces at quarterback with Riley Leonard and at other places in order to win a game like this. So I think that this is going to be a win. Then heading into week 2, you have Lafayette coming to town. This should be no issue. Should get the win here. I think that your rushing attack should slow them down. The offensive line, in which brings back 3 starters, in particular Graham Barton, who is that All-American, possible first-round draft pick in this upcoming draft. I think that you're looking good there. So I think that you should get a win there. Then you play Northwestern at home. If this game was at Northwestern, maybe it'd be a little bit more interesting, but it's in Durham, North Carolina, so I'm going to have to give the win to Duke. Northwestern struggled the past couple of years, really since that 2020 season where they made it to the Big Ten title game. It's been a struggle. There's been a lot of issues with Northwestern and Pat Fitzgerald this past couple of seasons, whether it's offensively or defensively. So there's just going to be a lot of issues here. Then you have UConn. You head to Connecticut, and this is going to be a really interesting matchup. UConn under Jim Mora is a much better program, but it should be an interesting kind of scenario. UConn does bring back a lot of their players, including their quarterback and running back, and because of that, I think it will be a close game, but I think Duke is going to get the win here. Even though this game is in Connecticut, and Connecticut went 5-1 at home, which I think could be interesting in this matchup, is that if this game was on the road, Connecticut won 1-5 on the road and lost their neutral site game when they played in a bowl game. But I think that they should get the win here, and I think that they should be able to get the W mostly because of Riley Leonard and the passing attack and a good job defensively there from the defense. I think that you have a good enough defense, especially like I talked about in the secondary, to be able to do that. Then you have Notre Dame coming to town. I'm sorry, last time Notre Dame came to town, it was an emphatic loss for Duke. This time I think it'll be a much closer matchup with Mike Elko, the former Notre Dame defensive coordinator, kind of making it interesting, of a kind of like a little matchup there. So an interesting storyline, but I think that this will be a loss for the Blue Devils. because I think that Notre Dame, just a much more physical team, much more dominant team, and with Sam Hartman at the helm at quarterback, they're definitely going to have a much better passing attack than they have at years past, including when they came in 2019 with Ian Book at the helm. Then you have a bye week, and then you play NC State. I think that you'll get the win here with coming off a bye week. In NC State losing Devin Leary. I think that they're in a little bit of a conundrum when it comes to quarterback. So I think that they're going to be able to get the W there. Then you have Florida State on the road. This is going to the Doak in October. It's better than going in September. That would be terrible heat-wise. But even in later October, you're still looking at a tough environment, both as fan-wise, heat-wise, stuff like that. I think that it's just going to be a tough matchup for Duke, and I think with Jordan Travis at quarterback, Duke's going to struggle to be able to cover him. I just don't think that Duke has the linebackers in order to cover a guy like Jordan Travis, so I'm going to have to give the loss there to Duke. Then you have a game heading up to Louisville. This should be a really, really interesting game. Jeff Brom is the new head coach of Louisville, and I think that because of the new head coach, it should be a really interesting matchup. You have Jack Plummer as their quarterback, and because Jack Plummer is their quarterback, I think that it should be a really interesting matchup, pretty high-scoring one. And because of that high-scoringness, I think that it's going to be a 50-50 game. It's going to be a close one. But because of Duke's defensive experience and Riley Leonard's experience, I think that I'm going to give the edge here to Duke. I think that they're in a little bit better of a scenario and situation at the moment with their program, and I think Elko has them in a good spot. Then you have a home game against Wake Forest. This is going to be a win. Like I said, with NC State, you have a lot of issues with having a new quarterback. This is a Thursday night game, so that should make it a little bit interesting and probably give the advantage to Duke because they're the home team. But, excuse me, because you have that, I think that it should be a win. With it being a Thursday night game, that does make it a little bit interesting. I think that I'm kind of like it, that makes it an interesting type of ball game, but I think you should get the win there just simply because of the more talented team and better quarterback spot that you are at. Then you have a road game against the Tar Heels. This is probably going to be a score that looks more like a basketball game than it does a football game because of Riley Leonard at quarterback for Duke and Drake May at quarterback for North Carolina. I think that is going to be a really close matchup. I think it's going to be a very competitive one. I think it's going to be down to the wire, possibly an overtime game. But I think at the end of the day, it is going to be an L for Duke. It's tough to say. If this game was at in Durham at Wallace Wade Stadium, I'm probably giving the edge to Duke. But with this game being in Chapel Hill, it's going to be tough to pick pick Duke in this matchup, especially with North Carolina bringing back a lot of offensive firepower with Drake May. I think that I'm going to have to give the edge to the Tar Heels. Then you have a game against Virginia and Charlottesville. This should be an easy game. You should get the W here. Virginia, I don't think Tony Elliott is in a good spot right now with that program, and I think they're going to need a lot of work in order to get to the spot that they need to be at. And finally, you have Pitt as the final game of your season, and I think that you should get the W here. I think that with a 9-3 record now overall, I think that Duke is in a good spot to really leap in that next tier of the ACC with a big win against Clemson. But you still have games like Notre Dame and Florida State and North Carolina that you could win some of those games. I think it's possible that you get to that mark of 10-2 and you really get to that point. But I think that is a lot more likely that you get to that 9-3, 8-4 almost spot. But I think that Duke is in a good position. I think Elko has it in a good place, especially with maybe some transfers and stuff like that. Like I talked about with the secondary, you should be in a better spot. So that's going to wrap up today's video. Hit the 2 videos down below and the subscribe button up here. And as always, make sure you have a great day. Bye, guys.